people mention the midterms, it can sound like just another round of political chatter. But midterm elections are far from background noise. They have a massive, tangible impact on how the country is actually run. Taking place 2 years into a president's 4-year term, midterms act as a national report card. The results can either give the president a green light to push their agenda or slam the brakes on it entirely. In this video, we'll break down what midterms really do to reshape the country, from shifting power in Congress to affecting your daily life. Midterms are often described as a national report card for the president and their party. Voters head to the polls to express how they feel about the current administration's performance. If the public is satisfied, the president's party may keep or even gain seats in Congress. If not, the opposition party often makes significant gains. This feedback mechanism is a core part of American democracy, allowing citizens to influence the direction of the country halfway through a presidential term. One of the biggest outcomes of any midterm election is whether the government ends up unified or divided. A unified government means one party controls the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. This makes it much easier for the president to pass major legislation. On the other hand, a divided government, where different parties control the White House and at least one chamber of Congress, can lead to gridlock, making it much harder to get things done. If the president's party keeps control of both chambers of Congress, it's like hitting the gas pedal on their agenda. The administration can push through major party line legislation, often using special tools like budget reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority. This is how big policies, like sweeping tax cuts or massive climate and healthcare bills, can get passed without needing support from the opposition party. If the opposition party takes control of the House or Senate, it's like slamming the brakes on the president's plans. Gridlock sets in, and the president's domestic legislative agenda can stall out. To pass anything, from funding the government to raising the debt ceiling, the president must compromise and negotiate with the opposing party. This often leads to more moderate bipartisan solutions, but it can also mean legislative standstills. Midterms also decide which party gets to pick the leadership in Congress, like the Speaker of the House. This leadership controls every legislative committee, which has a huge impact on what bills are even considered for a vote. The majority party sets the agenda, deciding which issues get debated and which are ignored. If you want to see action on affordable housing, minimum wage, or tax reform, having the majority is essential. The party that wins the majority in the House or Senate also gains subpoena power through committee chairs. This means they can launch investigations into the executive branch, call cabinet members to testify, and aggressively probe the administration's policies. Oversight and investigations become powerful tools for holding the government accountable, or, sometimes, for political battles. While the House is crucial for spending and passing laws, the Senate holds a unique and massive power, confirming federal judges and executive nominees. This means that the Senate can shape the judiciary for decades, influencing everything from Supreme Court decisions to lower court rulings. The Senate also confirms key cabinet positions, affecting how the executive branch operates. If the president's party controls the Senate, filling vacancies on the Supreme Court, federal appeals courts, and key cabinet positions can move smoothly. But if the opposition party takes the Senate, they can slow walk, block, or even reject the president's nominees. This power can fundamentally shape the country's judiciary and executive leadership for years to come. Midterms aren't just about Washington. Dozens of states elect governors, state legislators, and local officials during these cycles. These state-level outcomes often have a much more immediate impact on your day-to-day life, from local education funding and school curriculums to state tax rates and minimum wage hikes. The policies set at the state level can be felt directly in your community. State and local officials elected during midterms often decide on critical issues like education funding and tax rates. Whether your local schools get more resources or your state raises, the minimum wage can depend on who wins these races. These decisions shape the quality of public services and the economic well-being of families in your area. Midterm elections also influence voting laws, mail-in ballot rules, and how congressional districts are drawn, a process known as gerrymandering. The officials you elect at the state level can make it easier or harder to vote and can shape the political landscape for years by redrawing district boundaries. Historically, midterms are tough on the sitting president's party. Since World War II, the president's party almost always loses seats in Congress, on average, about 26 House seats and 4 Senate seats. This trend reflects voters' tendency to use midterms as a way to express frustration with the current economic or political status quo. Why does the president's party usually lose seats? Midterms give voters a chance to check the president's power and express dissatisfaction with the status quo. Economic downturns, unpopular policies, or political scandals can all drive voters to support the opposition, reshaping the balance of power in Congress. When one party controls the White House, House, and Senate, the government can move quickly on its priorities. Major legislation can be passed with fewer obstacles, and the president's agenda often advances rapidly. This can lead to significant policy changes in a short period, affecting everything from taxes to healthcare. Divided government forces compromise. With different parties controlling different branches, passing laws requires negotiation and often results in more moderate, bipartisan solutions. While this can slow down the legislative process, it also encourages cooperation and can prevent extreme policies from being enacted. One powerful tool for a unified government is budget reconciliation. This process allows certain types of legislation, mainly related to taxes and spending, to pass with a simple majority in the Senate, bypassing the usual 60-vote threshold. It's how major tax cuts or spending bills can become law even without bipartisan support. Majority party in Congress decides which bills make it to the floor for a vote. If they want to focus on issues like affordable housing, minimum wage, or tax reform, they have the power to set the legislative agenda. Without the majority, these issues might never even be debated. Committee chairs, chosen by the majority party, wield significant influence. They decide which hearings to hold, what investigations to launch, and which witnesses to call. This power can be used to advance the party's goals or to scrutinize the opposition, making committee leadership a critical aspect of congressional control. Oversight is a key function of Congress. When the opposition party controls a chamber, they can use oversight to investigate the executive branch, hold hearings, and demand accountability. This can lead to major political battles, especially if the investigations uncover wrongdoing or controversial policies. The Senate acts as a gatekeeper for federal judges and executive nominees. This means that even if the president wants to fill a Supreme Court seat or appoint a cabinet member, the Senate must approve. The outcome of the midterms can determine whether these appointments move forward or get blocked. Control of the Senate allows a party to shape the federal judiciary for decades. By confirming or blocking judicial nominees, the Senate influences how laws are interpreted and applied across the country. These decisions can have long-lasting effects on everything from civil rights to business regulations. The Senate also confirms key cabinet positions. These officials help run the executive branch and implement the president's agenda. If the opposition party controls the Senate, they can delay or block these appointments, making it harder for the president to govern effectively. Midterms also decide governors, state legislators, and local officials. These leaders make decisions about education, healthcare, transportation, and more. The policies they set can have a direct and immediate impact on your daily life, often more so than federal laws. Local officials elected during midterms often control education policy, including school funding and curriculums. These decisions affect the quality of education in your community and can shape opportunities for future generations. State and local officials also decide on minimum wage laws and tax rates. These choices can raise or lower your paycheck and influence the cost of living in your area. The outcome of midterm elections can directly affect your financial well-being. Midterms can change how you vote. State officials decide on voting laws, mail-in ballot rules, and voter ID requirements. These rules can make it easier or harder to participate in elections, impacting voter turnout and representation. After each census, states redraw congressional districts, a process called redistricting. The party in power can use this process to their advantage, a practice known as gerrymandering. This can influence which party wins future elections and how communities are represented. Ultimately, midterms are a turning point for the country. They decide whether the next 2 years of a presidency will be defined by sweeping policy changes or a fierce defensive battle of executive orders and political standoffs. The stakes are high, and the outcomes shape the nation's direction. As the next midterm approaches, you might be tracking a specific state race or policy issue, or maybe you're focused on the broader national picture. Either way, understanding how midterms work and what's at stake helps you make informed choices at the ballot box. The power to shape the future is in your hands every time you vote.